is good? It's your boy Sam back here with another video. And in this video today, guys, we're going to be going over and ranking our best centers, top centers on a tier list that are not behind gambling in NBA 2K24 MyTEAM. Now, briefly, if you want to talk about the opals, look, if you have any of these opals, I would run them. The opals I wouldn't run consist of nobody. Like, I'm serious. If I had any of the opals, any of the 100 overalls, I'd run them, okay? It's really that simple, that easy. So don't overcomplicate things. They're not on this tier list because they're all so good. I'd put them at S tier, A tier. But again, I'm not going to just sit here and talk about cards that are literally hidden behind gambling. And the rest of the cards are just far not superior to those guys. So it's just kind of where I want to start today. Start off with Diamond Alonzo Mourning. Now, Alonzo Mourning, I don't know, like, is it bad of me to say, like, that I actually don't mind the card? Like, I think his defense is actually really good and really solid. Offensively, yes, I'll be the first to say Alonzo Mourning's not great. His release is slow, not a high three ball, but defensively comes with Hall of Fame and mobile enforcer. Does a lot of things at a high level. Alonzo Mourning is C tier. Sengun S tier. Whether you play Sengun at power forward or center, look, he's probably better at power forward. I mean, that's kind of, I don't want to even sit here and say it's obvious, but it kind of is. Like, if you're running Sengun, he's better at power forward. But even at this center position, he is still S tier. To me, he's like a mini Jokic, and Jokic is going to be on this tier list as well because you can get him via the Ascension. But for me and Sengun, like, again, I don't have the card. I've played against him. I do believe he's S tier. Like, from his defense to his offense, definitely think his offense is far superior. The card is absolutely elite, absolutely incredible, deserving of S tier. Next up, Varejao. I mean, even compared to Alonzo Mourning, I think Varejao is slightly worse. And I again, it's not that Varejao can't play. It's just we're ranking the top centers. We're not ranking the top budget cards. We're not ranking the top enemies. We're ranking the top centers in my team. And if that's what it's going to be, Varejao I don't think can be any higher than D tier. Especially if I'm putting Alonzo Mourning at C tier, who I personally do like a little bit more. Anthony Davis, A tier. I like Anthony Davis, and I think the reason I like Anthony Davis is because of that player model player build. I mean, his release, honestly, it's fine. It's just not great. I just feel like AD is only 6'10", but he feels like he's 6'10", or feels like he's 6'11", 7 feet, which is such a wide player model player build. So I think that's why I like AD. Yes, his release is super easy to time. Super easy to green. It just is on the slower side of things. A Disney is deserving of A tier. Big Ben Wallace, I mean, D tier maybe. I don't think he's worthless because his defense is still off the charts good. But if you're looking at a center that can't shoot, I know he's going to play defense, but he literally can't shoot. He's 6'9" and can't shoot. What do you want me to sit here and say? We are in almost April, and you're looking at a 6'9" center that can't shoot. He's not going to be any higher than D tier. I'm sorry, Big Ben Wallace. Bryant Reeves, I'm going to go B tier. I actually don't mind Big Country. If you look at his stats, look at his badges, animations, Big Country can play a little bit in my team. And for the sake of this video, I'll go and show you guys what Bryant Reeves can do because a lot of people might not be knowing. Vucevic based on normal timing actually this year isn't bad. I don't know what that precious upper is like on it, but the Vucevic base definitely is not bad. Defensively, Bryant Reeves can play a little bit. I'm going B tier with the card. Pink Diamond Chet, I still think to this day is A tier. I feel like every time I use Chet, I'm just more and more impressed with the card. Like, I don't know. I felt like eventually, obviously, I'd be like, card's fine, but just not that great anymore. But again, the more I use Chet, the more I'm like, okay, this card might actually be elite in my team and might actually be just still to this day worth running. Now, you did need 200 blocks for him, but I mean, again, there's been a lot of different ways that you could have had those 200 blocks over the course of time. So if you have Chet still to this day, realize he can compete, play at the highest level. Chris Bosh at this stage, B tier probably. Again, you guys know if you watch my channel that I actually like Chris Bosh. I like the release. I like everything Chris Bosh does. I like what he's about. But when it comes down to ranking the top centers in the game, it's just he's not quite to that level anymore. His release is fine. It's just not necessarily the quickest. Player build's fine, just not necessarily the best. Is it bad to just say Chris Bosh is overall mid? Because he kind of is. The definition of Chris Bosh should be that he is he's absolutely mid. Like, you can run him, he's fine, but he is absolutely mid in my team. There is ways to get free Chris Boshes, and if you have him for free, he is just fine in my team. D-Rob at this stage, Diamond D-Rob, I'm still going to put a B tier. I mean, because the way I think about it, right, is when Chris Bosh was in the game and D-Rob was in the game, I think I ran D-Rob over Chris Bosh. So it's like, I feel like he's got to be B tier. And I know it might seem crazy because he's a diamond and he came out in a long time ago, but I still think D-Rob can play to this day. 7-1. Release is, I would say, a little bit baited. It is this year. I feel like in past years, his release has just felt a little bit better than it does this year. That's just kind of my personal opinion. But he's still going to play good defense, 7-1, good frame. He is really solid in my team. I'm going to go C tier with Deandre Ayton. Again, C tier is a good tier to be at. So I want you guys to know and realize that. Like, don't be like, oh my gosh, Ty, you only put him at C tier. Like, C tier is a good tier to be at. I like Ayton when it comes down to budget bigs, is one of my favorite budget bigs in the game. And I think for Ayton, it all starts and ends with that release. If Ayton didn't have the release he had, if he had a bad release, I wouldn't be nearly as high on the card in my team. To me, C tier for Deandre Ayton. Dwight Howard, I mean, to me, he's basically like a Ben Wallace, but can somewhat shoot. I guess I'll go C tier. I just don't like the fact that Dwight Howard's release is so slow. And I was just talking about D-Rob's release not being great. But if you compare D-Rob's release to Dwight Howard's release, I mean, it's not even close, not even comparable. At least D-Rob's got a usable release. Dwight's release is nearly unusable. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Pink Diamond Giannis, still elite to this day, A tier. Power forward or center, it doesn't matter. Like, Giannis is going to be Giannis. Diamond Giannis would probably be A tier too. It's just something about Giannis that you just can't make up. The stuff he does on the court is just absolutely ridiculous. And that comes with me. Like, I know his release is slow. I know it's baited. And I know for the Pink Diamond, he's not going to green everything consistently either. But it just comes down to the fact that, like, I've used Giannis enough to know, to respect what the card can provide at the highest level in my team, A tier. Greg Oden up next. I mean, I think I got to go B tier. But I think this is tough. This is really tough. I don't like where my C tier is at. I'm going to put him at B tier. I do think I like Greg Oden more than Dwight Howard. Is that crazy of me to say? Like, I've used both the cards. And I think it is crazy of me to say. But I think that's where I'm at right now. And I don't think that should be a crazy thing to say. Like, I think Oden's release is way more usable than Dwight's. Like, when I use Dwight, I'm like, man, this release is borderline unusable. And with Greg Oden, I feel like I've used him and not felt the same. I don't know, maybe it's me. I'm gonna go B tier with Oden, C a tier with Dwight. And the reason I'm going B tier with Oden is because I want to go B tier with Pink Diamond Hakeem. Now, I got fortunate enough out of the daily, a lot of people are asking me. So yes, guys, out of the, for me, if you want to talk about how I interact with content, I grind out the free challenges. If I get a Pink Diamond I don't like, I exchange it for that deluxe pack. So you got to exchange that Pink Diamond as well as another one for 21,000 MT for a deluxe pack. And then I re-roll that basically every day. That's the only thing I do with this content. Now, I happen to pull, the better Hakeem. I don't even want to, talk too much about it. And I love him. Pink Diamond Hakeem, still really good. And I know everybody who ran Pink Diamond Hakeem still does love that card and can compete at the highest level. Hassan Whiteside, I mean, I'm gonna go D tier. I guess I'm gonna go C tier. Is he gonna green shots for me? That's my question. Cause like when I'm doing this right now, I don't know. Is Hassan Whiteside really gonna knock down shots for me? Or is he just gonna be like another Ben Wallace on the court? I don't know. Jack Sigma, I'm gonna go C tier. For Sigma, I know somewhat of what he's gonna give me. He's gonna give me a guy that at least can be one of the best poppers in the game. At the very least, like Jack Sigma, gonna knock down shots at a very high level. Now, defensively, is Jack Sigma great? No. And that's something that needs to be talked about because his offense is great. I'll talk about it. His release is fantastic, but his defense is not. C tier for Jack Sigma. Jaren Jackson Jr., I don't mind Jaren, and I am going to put him at A tier. I'm going to. I think I've been slandering Jaren a little too much in my recent videos for how good the card is. Defensively, he's really solid. Offensively, can make a few plays. Now, do I think Anthony Davis is better than him? Yes. I mean, I'll be the first to tell you that. I mean, I would take Anthony Davis every day of the week over Jaren Jackson Jr. But do I think Jaren can compete at a similar type of level? Yes. Like, I think if you're running the free Jaren, you can go out there and compete at the highest level in my team. A tier for Jaren. Joel Embiid, even at this stage, still B tier. I do not mind Joel Embiid at all. And the fact that, like, 2K literally gave us Joel Embiid and Chet for free in, like, the same week is one of the crazier things we've seen. Like, if you realize the content we've been getting this season and then go back a couple of seasons to what we once had, it's absolutely crazy to compare the two. It's like polar opposites, which is just kind of sad at this stage to look back at what we once had and how we probably didn't appreciate it as much as we should have. Pink Diamond Jusuf Nurkic is good too. I'm throwing him at A tier. I do not care. If you look at what your Jusuf Nurkic stats are like, what his badges are like, tell me he's not an A tier caliber center in my team. Because that's where I'm at with Jusuf. I see him as an A tier caliber center. Good player, model player, but don't necessarily love that release. But do think he's going to do a lot of things at a really high level in the court. Cat, I'm going to go B tier. The problem with Cat is that release. And it's one of those things like in years past, his release wasn't great. His release this year is worse than it's been in the past. And that's something when Cat first came out, I didn't necessarily realize. Like, I loved his stats, loved his badges. I'm like, you know what? We can make that release work. But if you try using that release, you're going to know what I'm talking about. It definitely just leaves a ton to be desired. Super slow, super baited, super easy to get a contest on. It's kind of like a set shot for Cat, which I just am really not a big fan of. I wish Cat was better because I really would like to run the card. Kristaps Porzingis, S tier. Now, I've got to say, I was higher on Kristaps, way higher on him a month ago, compared to other cards that you're going to see here at S tier, A tier, compared to I am now. When Kristaps first came out, I thought he had what it took to be the best center in the game. And when Kristaps came out, he still wasn't the best big in the game. It's just, I feel like his defense, he doesn't play as good as he should have, and I don't know. Maybe it's just me not liking Kristaps or personal preference, but for me, do think there are better options, especially even for the same type of value than a Kristaps Porzingis in my team. Is Kristaps still really good? Yes. When he was out yesterday or a couple of days ago for that 35,000 VC, solid for that price, but again, just think there are cards that have surpassed him. LaMarcus Aldridge, I'm going to go C tier, definitely is usable, not a total garbage man in my team, but not a card I'm ever probably going to run. So, I mean, again, it's all about finding that right balance. LaMarcus Aldridge is fine, just not a card I really want to run. Gortat, I mean, C tier. And Gortat's a fine budget big. I do think at the center position he is better than Varejao as well, but I'm probably taking DA still to this day. Camby, C tier, not great. Honestly, Camby might even, I'm going to throw Camby at D tier. If I'm wrong on Marcus Camby, no, he's not that bad. I'll throw him at C tier. Bamba, C tier, he's fine. Moses Malone, S tier. I mean, if you're a Galaxy Opal again, outside of a couple, every Galaxy Opal, as long as their height is solid and their release isn't bad, is going to be S tier for me. Like, it's just the way it's got to be. Moses is a crazy long grind. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Sit here and just cap. But, I mean, is he worth the grind? That's a different story because the grind is absolutely crazy. And even, like, compared to Sengun grind is so much easier than the Moses grind. It's crazy to say it like that, but that's just the truth. Jokic, S tier. Again, if you have Jokic, if you got him on the Ascension, 100% play him. He is so good. Again, if you didn't get Jokic on the Ascension, just ignore the fact that he's even on this list. Again, I have to include him because a lot of people got him for free, but is S tier. Vooch, I actually don't mind Vooch. I'm going to throw Vucevic at B tier. I think for Vooch, it all starts and ends with my personal preference on his release. I think Vucevic has a more than usable, more than capable release this year. And that's just my opinion on it. Some people might disagree. Some people might think other people have better releases. But I think Vucevic's release over time has grown on me this year. I'm putting him at B tier, not thinking twice about it. PJ Brown up next. PJ Brown is solid. To me, like a mini Tyson Chandler is the best way I want to talk about a guy like PJ Brown. Has that Marcus Morris Sr. base. Gonna play good defense. Gonna be really solid in lanes. To me, A tier. Roy Hibbert at this stage, I mean, C tier. I think that might be crazy of me to say, but it's like, as times went on, it's like some of the cards, obviously, you get higher on. Some of them you grow less appreciation for. And I think Roy Hibbert's one of those cards that I'm just not nearly as high on as I once was. And that is okay. Serge Ibaka, B tier. Definitely a card you can use, have some success with. Is he, my favorite, let's say, center in the game? No. Is he a card you can use, though? That isn't super crazy expensive. Absolutely. Tyson Chandler, S tier. I'm sorry. Until Tyson Chandler isn't good anymore, he's gonna be a S tier for me because there's not that many guys I'd rather run than Tyson Chandler. That's just the way it's got to be. And if he's one of my favorite centers in the game and one of my centers that I'm personally, I guess I don't run Tyson right now with my squad, but I really wouldn't care. Like, if I had to run Tyson, I think he can go out there at the highest level and compete. And so for me, S tier for Tyson Chandler. Just comes down to, right now, I'm running Victor Wembanyama over Tyson. I mean, again, it really is preference based. Some people want a smaller center that can move a little better, be a little bit better defensively. Wemby's a cheese ball, 7'4", really shuts down that switch all meta. So it just comes down to what you want at the center position. Both guys, in my opinion, are S tier. Next up, Vlade, you're D tier. You are not good in my team. Big Wang, I mean, I like Wang. I do. Am I crazy for putting him at S tier? I think so. I'm going to put him at A tier. Wang is close to S tier, though. No, realize that. Wang is literally training wheels. Wide player, model player build. Great release. I mean, Big Wang can go out there and absolutely hoop for you guys in my team. Next up, guys, we see Willis Reed. I like Willis Reed. I'm throwing him at A tier. Again, a lot of this is my personal opinion. And for me, a guy like Willis Reed was free. He's a guy that I love his release. I think he can compete defensively well enough, given his height not being like super tall. I really do like Willis Reed. Yao, F tier, and I'm not joking. Yao is the worst player on my list. I'd rather use any of these other guys in a My Team game than Yao Ming right now. Any of them. And you guys might think I'm trolling, but I'm not. There is one player at F tier, and it's Yao. And this is not just me throwing him at F tier to just have somebody at F tier. This is the facts. I locked in for Yao Ming, and man, do I regret it. He has never played for me. He is a worthless scrub. F tier. Yi Yalin, last certainly not least, A tier, at the top of A tier. And I love Yi Yalin. It just comes down to defensively, we've got better cards at this stage. And Yi Yalin is just not great defensively. He's not unusable defensively. He's just not one of the better cards we have seen. That's going to wrap it up for our center tier list today. Again, if you have any Galaxy Opals, just run them. Pretty simple. Drop a like on the video, guys. Subscribe if you're new. And as always, man, I love you guys. Have a blessed day.